While World War II raged across Europe, North Africa, and the Pacific, a quieter battle unfolded thousands of miles away, across the jungles, cities, and coastlines of South America. Far from the front lines, this region became a crucial arena for German espionage, as the Nazi regime sought to sway public opinion, gather intelligence, and undermine Allied influence in the Western Hemisphere. From Argentina to Brazil, from Chile to Uruguay, South America was a hotbed of intrigue, covert operations, and shadowy spy networks. This underreported front in the global intelligence war reveals the breadth of Hitler's ambitions, and the complex political landscape of Latin America in the 1940s. The strategic importance of South America. At the start of World War II, South America was politically diverse and geographically vast. Some nations leaned toward the Allies while others remained neutral, or were sympathetic to the Axis powers. German cultural and economic ties to the region, especially in Argentina and Brazil, were strong, with large immigrant populations and established business networks. South America offered several advantages for German espionage: geographic proximity to the United States, offering access for monitoring and subversion; neutral ports and open trade routes, ideal for moving agents and intelligence; lack of centralized Allied control, making espionage easier to conceal. Nazi Germany saw the region not only as a resource base and potential launchpad for operations but also as a way to counteract U.S. influence in the Western Hemisphere. Nazi spy networks in action. Germany's intelligence services, principally the Abwehr military intelligence, and later the RSHA Reich Main Security Office, ran several espionage networks across South America. These operations were often coordinated from embassies, consulates, and local German clubs, and were aided by sympathetic expatriates. Operation Bolivar. One of the most significant German intelligence efforts in Latin America was Operation Bolivar, a vast espionage network run by the Abwehr. Operating across multiple countries, including Argentina, Brazil, Chile, and Mexico, Operation Bolivar aimed to collect intelligence on Allied shipping, military movements, and industrial production. Messages were sent via shortwave radio, coded letters, and couriers. Agents in ports reported Allied vessel movements to Germany, allowing U-boats in the Atlantic to intercept and attack. German spies also tried to infiltrate military bases, gather industrial secrets, and influence local politics. Some key examples include Argentina, a central hub for German espionage, with Buenos Aires serving as a major operational base. Pro-Axis elements in the government tolerated or ignored spy activities for much of the war. Brazil. German agents operated in cities like São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro until Brazilian intelligence, aided by the FBI, dismantled the networks. Chile. The port of Valparaiso was used by German spies to monitor naval traffic and ship supplies. Allied counterespionage and the FBI. By 1941, the United States recognized the threat posed by Axis agents in South America. Under the leadership of FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover, the U.S. launched a coordinated effort to monitor, disrupt, and dismantle German spy rings throughout the region. With the cooperation of Latin American governments, especially Brazil and Mexico, the FBI trained local police and intelligence agents, intercepted radio transmissions and broke codes, arrested and deported dozens of Nazi agents, encouraged diplomatic pressure to sever ties with Axis nations. In 1942, Brazilian authorities, working with the U.S., successfully broke up major spy rings and began shifting toward the Allied cause. Brazil would go on to declare war on Germany and Italy, even sending troops to fight in Italy under the Allied banner. German influence campaigns and propaganda. Beyond espionage, the Nazis also engaged in propaganda and influence operations. German cultural organizations, schools, and newspapers were used to promote Axis ideals and sway public opinion. In some cases, German agents spread anti-American, anti-British, and anti-Semitic materials to encourage support for the Third Reich. These efforts had varying degrees of success. While some communities remained loyal to German heritage, many Latin Americans ultimately rejected fascist ideology. As the tide of war turned, Axis propaganda lost its impact, and often backfired. The decline of German espionage in South America. By 1944, the vast majority of German intelligence networks in South America had been neutralized. Allied counterintelligence was effective, and most countries had formally joined or supported the Allied cause. The German defeat in Europe ended any remaining efforts in the region. However, South America would later become a haven for fleeing Nazi officials, who used smuggling routes and sympathetic contacts to escape post-war justice. Particularly in Argentina, where figures like Adolf Eichmann and Joseph Mengele later hid.